was simple. We have so many restaurants throughout the state of California struggling, those that are just doing takeout, struggling to keep those doors open, others struggling to keep tabs on their employees that are now on unemployment, others that haven't even imagined the prospect of being able to even open modestly for takeout. We have seniors. Millions of seniors in the state of California, many with no access to nutritious food, no access to prepared meals, no capacity at home, if isolated, to even prepare those meals in the first place. And so we advanced a framework to begin the process of reopening restaurants to start to provide those meals, 3 meals a day, delivered, packaged, prepared, delivered to the doorstep of seniors all throughout the state of California. That program now is just starting to take shape in cities and counties, large and small, all across the state. The state of California put out the framework, and it's the city's responsibility to engage the restaurants and work through the protocols. We've seen cities like LA and others really excel in this space, and we're very encouraged by this program. In that same spirit, in that same framework of collaboration and partnership, today we're announcing a strategy to do the same around food, but now focusing on farms to families, focusing on the issues that obviously are front and center all across the nation, and that's issues of food banks and how we could do more to help support our farmers, help support farm workers, and also help support food banks here in the state of California. This new initiative that we're launching today is a partnership between the federal government, the state of California, and philanthropy. It's a strategy that's rather simple. Currently, our farmers, our ranchers, are experiencing about a 50% reduction in demand, which is a jaw-dropping reduction in demand. They have excess produce, they have excess commodities that they simply, in many respects, as perishable items, some of them, they cannot distribute. We have food banks that have, on the average, seen a 73% spike in demand. Here we are, breadbasket, the world, California, and we want to address that mismatch. We want to address the supply and the demand. And so that's the announcement today, to work with the ranchers, to work with the farmers, to connect them to the food banks, and do so in a way that jumpstarts our capacity to deliver nutritious food, high quality, locally produced produce, poultry and dairy and the like to those most in need in the state of California. The partnership currently has about 128 farmers and ranchers providing food to 41 food banks being distributed in 58 counties. The goal of this announcement is to provide 21 million pounds of fresh food and fresh produce on a monthly basis, 20 to 21 million pounds of fresh produce and other commodities to our food banks. We've raised some $3.6 million to jumpstart this program. We want to extend this program through the end of the year. And we're blessed to have philanthropy, including Kat Taylor, who's been passionate in this space. She is committed to raising some $15 million. She initiated a contribution to that end to help get this partnership in place and help us launch it. But it is that partnership between our federal government, between state agencies, between philanthropy, and then our farmers and our farm workers that will pick and pack and distribute this fresh produce and these other commodities to our food banks. We are very excited and enlivened by this program, and I want to thank, and I'll introduce her in a moment, our Secretary of Agriculture, Karen Ross, who's helped spearhead this effort and advanced this cause and brought some of the biggest brands in the agricultural community to the forefront, from Foster Farms to California Rice Association, the National Dairy Association and bringing Grimway and others, Sunkist and the citrus side, Pacific producers, a partnership out here on the Pacific coast, even doing fruit bowls and the like. Again, all of this in the spirit of collaboration to provide these new food packs to families in need. I can assure you, you look back on the last recession, you would not have seen these food packs with so many nutritious items, perishable items, and other items that were locally produced and immediately distributed. So we're very excited about this. It's the spirit that finds the best of California, and a spirit that certainly, I hope, will enliven people all across the state of California. I want to just mention those that are on the front lines in terms of our food banks and the incredible pressure they're facing. I stated a few weeks back that we contributed, because of the support of the legislature, the Assembly, and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, supporting our food banks. We were able to distribute $20 million of an emergency grant to our food banks to enhance and advance our efforts in terms of providing these food boxes to families in need. We also announced the National Guard. The first mission the National Guard advanced during this pandemic was a humanitarian mission to support our food banks. We also worked in collaborative spirit with partners like AmeriCorps that have done an amazing job, Team Rubicon that's done the same, Cal Volunteers, all in an effort to subsidize not only the increase in demand, but the decrease in volunteers at our food banks when this pandemic took shape. They have substantially addressed a lot of those issues. It's not by any stretch perfect, and I will, as always, ask on you, to the extent you are available to help support that cause, to volunteer your time and attention through our CaliforniansForAll.ca.gov website, because the food banks still need more volunteers. But I want to acknowledge the partnerships that have been advanced, particularly between those four organizations, the National Guard as the original anchor, and AmeriCorps, Team Rubicon, and Cal Volunteers are really helping support the distribution of food for those most in need. So connecting California's farms, farm workers, connecting to the cause of our food banks, getting product and produce that otherwise would literally be thrown away as waste, and now providing a tax credit to the farmers of 15%, and providing a wage to the farm workers, and getting philanthropy to help support this, and getting those federal dollars drawn down that otherwise would not be drawn down, is the spirit of the announcement today. But there are two other components that I want to share as well. We got two waivers from the federal government. One waiver is rather significant. The CalFresh program, our SNAP, our food stamp program, CalFresh program can now today provide access to commodities online. So if you have a CalFresh debit card, you can now go online and utilize CalFresh at scale. We start with just two partners for the moment, and that's Amazon and Walmart. And so that's just for the moment, Amazon, Walmart, but now you can shop online with CalFresh. We want to expand those partnerships beyond Walmart and Amazon. I'll announce that when those partnerships are available, but currently we are affording this, because of that waiver, to everybody in the state of California. And I say everybody, it's about 2.2 million households, a little over 4 million people that now can avail themselves to access that opportunity online today as well. The second waiver that I wanted to mention, the third announcement of the day, is also a rather significant one. Because of the work of Speaker Nancy Pelosi and others, we were successful in being the beneficiary and the recipient of a pandemic EBT program. We were able to work with our federal partners on an additional waiver for this program to provide up to $365 additional dollars, an additional $365 available under this pandemic EBT program for children and families that otherwise would have gotten the benefit of reduced or free breakfast and lunch in our public school system. Because we shut down the schools, still doing learning, distance learning at home, but the physical schools are shut down, those meals with a universe of roughly 3.8 million children that are eligible for those programs. Those programs are not providing, in every case, those meals. And so this pandemic EBT program will make available a universe of up to $1.4 billion for 3.8 million eligible families. Again, that's the universe of possible to begin to utilize those dollars from that CARES Act to advance their nutritional needs. So we think that's a significant thing. I couldn't be more pleased and proud of the work that Kim Johnson's done at Department of Social Services to help organize and set up that program. The framework for that eligibility is about a 64-day period from March to middle of June. But the universe of available dollars is rather large, and we just want to make sure it's socialized, and we're doing everything in our power to get that information out there, and of course encourage others that may know people that fall into that category of being eligible for free or reduced breakfast and lunch programs to know that these dollars are available for them through the EBT program, and we're going to do our best to get them in people's pockets because we deeply recognize people's food insecurity, not just their economic insecurity, and we don't want to exacerbate that to the extent we can. So partnerships in our food banks, partnerships with our farms and ranchers, partnerships with local producers to help local food banks, partnerships in terms of philanthropy and volunteers, people doing more to create more access and opportunity, not just in person, but now also online to draw down eligible dollars, federal dollars in the CalFresh program, and now this broader waiver for our kids in public schools. And so I'm very proud and very pleased to be able to make these announcements today. It's the spirit of our times, the spirit of California. What often takes a year, now we need to do in months. What takes a month, we now need to do in weeks. What takes weeks, we need to do in days. And what we used to do in days, we need to do in hours. And I recognize every day I come here making announcements, also following up on previous announcements and metrics and marking moments. I realize it can be overwhelming, but that's the moment we're living in. You can't just do one thing at a time. You've got to do many things at a time. And we're dealing with a pandemic. We're dealing with a crisis. It requires a focus. It requires an intentionality. It requires people doing things they never imagined possible, even just 2 months ago. I'm just incredibly proud of everybody doing what they can, as we say, to meet this moment. And so one of them, I'll just offer the mic here in a moment, is our Secretary of Agriculture, who has been actually fighting for some of these programs for years. Since my days as Lieutenant Governor, I heard her talk about these programs. And again, sort of proving the point, in just a few weeks, she was able to put something together that she's been talking about for years, our Secretary of Agriculture.